Good evening, and thank you for being with us. My name is Lillian Muli, and this is Citizen Weekend. Now, some people seem to be just fine while they abuse alcohol. Experts call these people functional alcoholics. You can still be an alcoholic even though you have a great outside life with a job that pays well, home, family, and friendships and social bonds. I want to begin by presenting some of the major signs of high-functioning alcoholics. If you see any of these in yourself or someone you love, it's likely time to get help and start on the road to recovery. So let's look at the major symptoms or the signs that you might be a functional alcoholic. And there you go. Number one, you consume alcohol to cope. That's when you start drinking to reduce the stress of work, to feel happy after feeling depressed, or to reduce your anxiety. The second sign that you could be a functional alcoholic is you drink alcohol for every situation, meaning you feel the need for a drink to calm down, a drink to perk up, a drink to go to sleep, or a drink to wake up. Thirdly, you consistently drink on your own. When drinking is done alone, sometimes even in secret. And when you drink alone, you find it harder to limit the amount of alcohol that you consume. Fourthly, you drink too much too often. And for women, this limit is 3 drinks a day or 7 drinks in a week. For men, the limit is 4 drinks in a day or 14 drinks in a week. If you drink more than this amount either on a weekly or daily, then you are probably on the brink of alcoholism and you need to watch out for that. And the fifth sign is that drinking increasing amounts of alcohol as you build tolerance. This consistently means finishing off a bottle of wine, vodka, or whiskey every time it's opened. And this builds your tolerance for alcohol, creating dependence. And lastly, and that is the sixth sign, is you experience withdrawal symptoms from alcohol. That means you feel depressed or anxious, you are irritable, or you feel nauseous or tired for an extended period of time. You also experience these symptoms around the time of day when you usually start drinking. So if you usually start drinking at around 6 p.m., then around 6 p.m., if you've not touched a drink, then you start feeling irritable. And these are some of the other symptoms we've outlined there for you, and that's called withdrawal. So tonight we'll be having an interview with 2 recovering alcoholics, as well as a psychiatrist to guide us through the journey of recovery. That's an addiction therapist. And with me in studio this evening, introducing to you our guests, starting from this end, is Dr. Margaret Makanyengo. She's a psychiatrist at the Oasis Health Center. On this end, I'm joined by James Muturi, who is a recovering alcoholic, and also in studio with us is Beatrice Wanjiro, who also is a recovering alcoholic. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start with you, James. As a recovering alcoholic, let's begin to when you started drinking and what exactly were you drinking?
Thank you. When I look back, I see I started drinking, tasting alcohol that my dad used to take. It's called Muratina. And there will be celebrations at home. So eventually it was being sent, I would taste. And as I was growing older, I found myself wanting to taste more. As I finished school, I would sometimes have some pocket money. We would go taste. And eventually when I finished college, I found after getting some odd job here and there, I would find myself with my friends wanting now to drink.
So you started with Muratina,
yes.
And that was when you were fairly young.
Yes.
So as you now got older,
yes.
Did your choice of drink change into something else, and how consistently were you drinking?
The choice didn't change as I was growing up because Muratina was much more available. Not that my dad was cooking Muratina with the friends. But eventually when I got older in the secondary school, we would sometimes have friendship with teachers who would congratulate us for performing well in sports or in academics, and sooner or later there would be need to go and get them either at the shopping center or in the bar. And once in a while the teacher would say, oh, I have a sip.
Yeah.
I got introduced to the bottle alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was in college, I was able to differentiate between which brands, which had more class, like Guinness. And eventually I realized I took more to Guinness because it gave me esteem.
Mm-hmm. So you started drinking more beer. And still, you're talking about progressing even to college, meaning that even as you were drinking, you were able to continue with your studies and life was going on?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. So at what point then did you realize that your drinking was getting out of hand?
Wow, okay. Now, after finishing college and I was tasting alcohol, I actually did complete my college and we got married, my dear wife. And I started having drinks at home with brothers as a normal situation. Weekends, holidays, celebrations. Then when that time we were living in Embu, I had a good job. Actually, I had 3 jobs. And I had some time in the afternoon when I would be free, and even on weekends. And eventually it got to the point whereby my age mates, most of them had younger children than mine. We married early. So that meant that most of my friends would look up to me. I actually started feeling like they were celebrating my presence.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a drinker then, but I found myself wanting to be with my friends and to have my beer. It started with weekends. It went on to functions like marital issues. It's called odoni,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it continued to the point whereby I started now segregating or removing my wife from information like this weekend I'll be going somewhere. Mm-hmm. So long as there would be beer, I wouldn't even bother to tell her.
How many bottles were you drinking?
By then,
in one sitting?
In one sitting, could comfortably take maybe 4 to 6, 7 Guinness.
Okay. And I'm sure somebody somewhere is thinking that's not too much, but I'm coming back to you. Beatrice. Let's hear Beatrice's story. Beatrice, ulianza kukunywa lini na ulikuwa unakunywa nini haswa?
Mimi nilikuwa navuta bangi. Na nilianza kuvuta 97 wakati bwanangu alikufa, akaniacha na mimba. Vile nilizaa huyo mtoto wangu alikufa mwezi wa 10, 97 nikazaa mtoto mwezi wa 3. Vile nilichomeka hapa nikakasirika sana, nikasema hakuna Mungu ameniacha kwa nyumba. Mtoi wangu alikuwa anachomekea kwa nyumba. Sasa nikienda kumtoa ndo tukachomeka si wawili. Nikasema hakuna Mungu sababu amechukua bwana yangu, nimechomeka na mtoto. Sasa hapo nikaingililia sasa maisha ya kuvuta bangi. Nikaivuta hadi nilivuta sana. Nilivuta miaka mingi.
Na pombe je?
Pombe nilikuwa naonja tu, sikuwa napenda pombe. Nilikuwa tu naonja, lakini bangi ndio nilikuwa navuta sana.
Okay. Alafu tueleze kwa wakati ulikuwa labda unajipata katika hii hali ya kutaka kuwa labda umelewa ama uko kwa hali ya juu kwa sababu ya pombe na bangi. Ilikuwa wakati mgani haswa? Ilikuwa ni saa ile labda uko na stress ama ilikuja tu ikawa ni kawaida yako kila siku?
Wacha niseme, kwa boma yangu nimekufiwa sana. Nimekufiwa na watu 9. Sasa wakikufa nilikuwa na stress zinaniingia sana. Sasa nilikuwa navuta bangi mingi kama 10 ndio hiyo stress iishe, lakini haikuwa inaisha. Nikaendelea, watoi wangu wakakuwa wakubwa, bado ninavuta, nilikuwa navutia kwa hao wakiwa, hata nilikuwa na watuma. Sasa ilifika pahali nikaona ninakosea sana. Nikaenda church, lakini sikuokoka hiyo time.
Hebu ngoja hapo, ulifika wakati ukaona unakosa sana, ni kwa nini? Ulikuwa unafanya labda vitendo kama gani?
Nilikuwa navuta mbele ya watoto wangu.
Na ukiongea kuhusu pombe, ulikuwa unakunywa pombe gani?
Mimi nilikuwa nakunywa tuseme pombe sikuwa nataka sana, nipate ukikunywa yako ni taste niache. Ama ninakunywa haka kanajiita Smirnoff Ice, tuwili nitakuwa nimejitangaza huko kote. Lakini bangi nilikuwa navuta mingi sana.
Okay. Na wacha nikurudisha kwa swali yenye nilikuwa nimekuuliza kuhusu ulifika, yani ni vitendo gani ulikuwa unafanya zenye zilifanya ufike mahali useme hapa nimeanza kuzidi kwa tabia?
Nilikuwa nakasirika sana, tukiongea na wewe naona tumekosana, tunatusiana, ninakutukana sababu naona unanisumbua na mimi niko na akili zangu. Tena watoi wangu hawakuwa wanafurahia juu nilikuwa navutia kwa hao. Sawa, walikuwa wananiombea sana niache, lakini mimi najifanya mimi ndio bwana ya hiyo boma, nilikuwa navutia tu mbele yao. Hiyo kitu ndio ilinifanya nifikirie kuacha.
Na sasa kama ulikuwa katika hiyo hali ya kuwa wewe ni mlevi, ulikuwa unafanya kazi, ulikuwa yani kujimudu, ulikuwa unajimudu kivipi?
Wacha niseme sikusoma, nilifika class 4. Lakini mimi nilikuwa nafanya vibarua yoyote ya kufua nguo, kulima, nikaendelea nikaonana na watu, tukaingiana na watu, nikaanza kupika. Nilikuwa nafanya sana sana outside catering. Alafu nilikuwa nimeingia job nyingine, nilikuwa nimeka kichinjio. Hiyo ya kichinjio tukakosana na mama mwingine, lakini hawakuwa wanajua ninavuta bangi. Lakini nilikuwa na hasira mingi, ulikuwa unaniambia kitu nakasirika. Sasa tukafight na yeye, nikafukuzwa kichinjio. Sasa hapo ndio niliona wacha nirudie Mungu sasa sababu nimeenda sana.
Na hawa watoto nani alikuwa anawachunga kama kwa hizo nyakati zote ulikuwa labda hujielewi, umelewa?
Sikuwa ninawachanisha, nilikuwa nawapenda sana. Sababu mimi ndio nimewasimamia. Sina kwambia bwanangu alikufanikiwa, msichana alikuwa tukana yeye mwaka 2. Sasa hiyo miaka yote nimekaa nikiishi na watoto wangu. Sikuwa nawatesa.
Okay, let me come back to you, James. You're talking to me about how progressively you started drinking. Let's talk about how bad this drinking actually got for you, because from what you've explained earlier is that for you it was fun and good times.
Yes.
You were basically just making merry. But at what point did it get to a point where you started now feeling like it was getting out of control?
Oh, thank you. Now, it got to a point whereby I wanted to have my drink, my time, my way, without justification. And I can also see now that I used to have anger issues every time, anything to do with my drink, anything that interfered. Whether it's the issues I have money, or we are planning school fees issues, I would always ensure there will be a complication about some money, so that a chunk of the money is not discussed and it remains for my drinking. It also went on to the point whereby I will disappear and create situation whereby I'm busy doing something somewhere. 2-3 days over the weekend. So the issue of my weekend came in now. It got to a point whereby I would have even a whole week away. Drinking, I'll go out smart dressed. By the time I come back home, the clothes are not the same. I'm not the same person. That is smiling, foul. I would also be very vulgar, matusi. Even without provocation. I would even create situations whereby now everyone is defending themselves. And finally it went to a point whereby we would drink with my buddies now. And for me it's sad when I recall. Some of them would even have like either stroke or heart attack. We are drinking with them. And then there will be issues like in bars, they have died inside each other. There are stories like that happen all the time. Because there are complications. Now, I'm not a medic, so I will not be able to explain. Other issues that arose will be somebody will hang themselves in the club. I tried several times to intoxicate myself, overdose, with the concoction of, I don't know what medicine I bought, in the club. I will even fake to have a girl to sleep with. But it was a way of other men seeing me, I'm a man, but inside I'm feeling empty. And then I'm mixing and then I'm taking. The girl will maybe disappear over in the night with all my money or some suit if it's expensive. But in the morning, I would maybe with some fraud in of my mouth. It got to a point whereby I even tried to kill myself inside the home.
So, your wife and your family, during this period, how are they coping with your leaves of absence? Like you say, you would disappear. Sometimes you would not come home. You would be vulgar. Whenever you go home, with no provocation whatsoever. Your wife in particular and your children, how did they react to all of this?
I would want to thank my wife for standing in for the situation, if not for me, because I really put her through hell. She's really one person, her and my mother now, because I see, when I look back, I see what my mother may have suffered. I'm the last born in my family, out of 11 children. And I've heard stories of my dad's alcoholism. When I look back now, I see what I put through my wife. She really stood for me. She would go to work with the, blue, black eyes, brown, or whatever, dents.
Out of physical violence?
Yes, I would meet violence without, and I'm not in my control. Later on, I would realize what have I done. Then that would make me now disappear altogether for a few more days. Eventually, it got to a point whereby now, because I've been identified, that happens with alcoholics who have money. I've been identified in clubs that I have money over certain patterns. They knew I had my own business, and I was employed doing jobs somewhere else. So they knew I had access to a lot of money. Just a phone call, some money would be sent to me. So I would have my bar, my table, my waiter. I would even wake up waiters, I'm an empty shell inside, but I'm doing things that gives me false esteem. Eventually, it got to a point whereby when friends are dying, killing themselves, we'll go to burials, and then we are just crying tears, and no one talks about the truth. But inside ourselves, we know what is happening.
Yeah.
And then finally, what touched me is when a friend of mine, we were trying to sell fake beer, which was available that time. Beer that would go, alcohol, wine, I think spirits, that will go for something like 150. We'll buy for around 25 shillings or 30 shillings. So we were making a lot of money. But at the end of the day, we just spend it and it's finished. When we were doing that with a friend of mine, Alijinyonga, he committed suicide by hanging himself. And I was half drunk, very early in the morning, around 5. I was thinking it's a joke. So I'm there breaking down the door and calling his names, and he's just falling from the rope and in my hand. And eventually when we got to the hospital, when the doctor shook his head, it hit me. I walked from that place, it's near Thika, to my home place, around 20 kilometers away. When I got home, people really knew something was wrong with me. And eventually that's when I called my brother, who's a priest, and told him, well, friends are dying, God is refusing me to die, devil doesn't want me. I was using all those kind of words. And I was taken to a rehab, and they realized that I had a condition. They were telling me I had a bipolar or something, and they were giving me medications which I thought they were condemning me to being insane. But they really helped me.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Thanks for sharing that. Dr. Margaret, let's talk about, as an addiction therapist, and looking at both Beatrice and James here sharing their individual stories, what they have in common is that they're talking about, a lot of irritability and anger, and basically having to rely on substance and specifically substance abuse to cope with some of these issues. But in terms of, and we're going to be reading out what our viewers are saying, in terms of a diagnosis, we're talking about people who like to drink once in a while, and then again we're talking about a problem. How do you come up with a diagnosis? How do you know that this is in fact alcoholism?
Lillian, as a psychiatrist, most of the time the patients, people who drink come to us when they are already quite complicated. They may come in with psychiatric symptoms, symptoms of depression, symptoms of bipolar disorder, or either they may come with other issues, for example, family, social issues or marital conflicts. And then as we take histories, when we realize that the person is drinking. So usually when they present, it's with a psychiatric disorder. As we take histories, when we realize that this person has been drinking for some time. And these individuals usually have a pattern of drinking that they cannot control themselves. And they crave for drinking. They desire drinking most of the time. And it leads eventually to harm.
Yeah, like he's talking about the suicidal thoughts, and she's also talking about just really not seeing any point in living whatsoever. But let's talk about genetics, because James here, interestingly, is saying that he started drinking with his father, the Muratina, and that his father actually, you know, drank a lot as well. Do you think that there is a link between this when we see people that are alcoholic? Do these trends sometimes come with association from family?
Definitely, yes, Lillian. We have, studies have shown that there's a family history, there's genetic inheritance. It could be within families or even twins or even children of alcoholics are likely to be alcoholic. In addition to that, the parents tend to expose the children to drinking. So the children, like in his case, so the children tend to model what the parents are doing. Yes.
Your treatment approach as an addiction therapist, he's talking about, and interestingly, last week we had, you know, a patient, a bipolar patient. He's saying that when he was taken into rehab, the first thing that they outlined was that he had bipolar symptoms. When we talk about the treatment approach and we're singling this into, we're actually saying this is alcoholism, and you've in fact diagnosed this person as being an alcoholic. So what is the treatment approach?
We have to do thorough assessment, first of all, because alcoholism may present with a coexisting psychiatric disorder. And you know, if you miss out the psychiatric disorder and just get the alcoholism, then that's a problem. You're going to treat the alcoholism and not the psychiatric disorder. So once we have diagnosed both, we put them on medication. Yes, and the medication is effective. Like he said, he's on meds which helped him. Then aside from medication, we do counseling, we do psychotherapy. Aside from psychotherapy, there's also occupational therapy, social support, and spiritual support.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, the issue of cost coming up quite frequently here in our feedback, cost of treatment. Does insurance cover these costs when we're talking about rehab, when we're talking about alcoholism, and specifically the NHIF? Would someone with an NHIF card be able to access these services?
It's unfortunate that most of the insurances do not cover alcohol, yet the WHO recognize that alcoholism is a disease. It's called a dependency syndrome. But NHIF has actually strived to actually incorporate alcohol addiction. The only thing is I believe the allocation is quite low, because it cannot really sustain the full medical care, but at least they are trying. But the insurances, it's still a problem, yet it is a disorder, it is a disease.
Right.
Yes.
And I'll just come back to you shortly. Beatrice, wacha nirudi kwako. Ulipo tafuta usaidizi, ulipata usaidizi na ulipata usaidizi wapi? Na labda kwa ujumla umejipata nyakati zingine ukiona ni kama utarudia hizi tabia?
Sioni nikirudia, lakini usaidizi wangu sana sana ni Mungu alifanya niache. Sababu alituma ule mzee anajitanga gavana wa Murang'a, Mwangi wa Maziwa. Mwangi wa Maziwa ndio alitangaza siku ya kwanza kuna rehab ya bure. Nikaona sina fare ya kutoka hapa niende Murang'a. Si nikakaa tu kama ninavuta. President akatangaza akasema hao watu watafutwe, wasaidiwe sana. Hao ni watu wamenisaidia sana. Sababu vile alisema hivyo, nilisema nitazibeba zote. Nilikuwa navuta kama 10 mchana na usiku. Hizo ni 20. Nilikuwa nimesema nitazikusanya zote, nijipeleke nazo polisi. Kabla nifike polisi, Mungu akanitumia watu wake. Sababu alituma watu wa ACK Cathedral Kiambu. Wakakuja kutafuta wale watu wameremewa sana. Wakanipata, nikamwambia sikupeana jina yangu, nilipeana jina ya rafiki yangu. Wakaniambia wanaenda Sato, lakini hiyo Sato nilikuwa naenda kazi. Mimi sikuweza kuenda. Mimi nilijipeleka Monday. Akaniambia sababu umekuja na hiyo kitu imeisha, hautarudi vile ulikuja. Mimi nikapeana shida yangu, Mungu naye ni nani? Ako mbele yangu. Akasema sitashikwa, lakini ataniokoa. Akaniokoa na nikapata watu wa kunisaidia, nikapelekwa rehab. Mimi singewacha. Acha ni president, Mungu na Mwangi wa Maziwa, singeacha. Hao watu wamenisaidia sana. Alafu watoi wangu walikuwa wanajifunga kula, wananiombea niache. Sasa unaona hapo ni Mungu tu alinisaidia.
Yeah. Na ukisema mwangi wa maziwa unamaanisha mwangi wa iria?
Mwangi wa iria, huyo alinisaidia sana.
Okay.
Simjui lakini nampenda sana sababu aliniokolea maisha yangu.
Na ni vizuri, I'm sure amepata hiyo message. Na venye nimekuuliza, unajipatanga sometimes unataka, yani unajipata una ile tamaa ya kuvuta ama kukunywa pombe, ushaijipata katika hiyo hali?
Sababu nilikuwa nimeamua nataka kuacha, sijaijikuta hapo. Sasa nikisikia hiyo hamu imenikujia, nilibaiwa Bible church. Sasa mimi uchukua Bible naanza kusoma hiyo kitu.
So yako ni Biblia, lakini umewekwa katika yani unameza madawa ama wewe unafanyiwa counseling peke yake?
Tuseme counseling nilipewa na nilikuwa na depression. Nikapewa madawa za depression na counseling. Sijisikiangi kuvuta tena.
Okay. And as we begin to wind up, to you, James, have you ever felt have you ever relapsed since you got into treatment? Have you found yourself going back to those old habits?
Thank you, Lillian. No, I have not relapsed. Actually, what happened was the first time I went to the rehab was in Asumbi, and after I came out, now I realized the structures that Daktari has explained were not there. One of the structures that majorly was not there was the family support.
Yeah.
Not because they failed, but because people move on, and they were also not informed. They had not gotten the family therapy. The other issue was that spirituality. Addiction and alcoholism erodes spirituality in individuals completely. Yet, I'm not talking like a counselor now, but it's my experience. But people feel remaining highly charged spiritually, but actually they're empty shells.
Yeah.
The second time I went to the rehab, I went to Dumberi at Talbot, Blessed Talbot, at Dr. Mongize. There we were engaged. I couldn't face my mom in active recovery when I stopped drinking, but the program was put in place and my mom came. I've never shed so many tears.
Yeah.
Mixed tears of shame, guilt, and then joy. Mom shed also.
So have you ever touched? How many years has it been now since you stopped drinking?
This is 3 years now.
3 years.
I have not touched because largely I would want to say that the training that we get there is so powerful because it helps somebody to even role play. What happens if it is in front of me? I meet with my buddies. They're even cajoling or playing around with me. They can even somehow be mildly physical. Come on, you're a man, and that kind of thing. Or even somebody just spills it on my face. What will I do? So after getting that training...
People go to those extremes?
Life is a risk.
Yeah, okay.
It happened to me. I'm saying this out of... It happened to me. No one... I don't know. I don't want to preempt Daktari's comments, but no one chooses to be an addict.
So that temptation...
That temptation, because I was trained, I'm able to see it when it is coming, and I'm also given mechanism to deal with it. For example, if my Daktari is my sponsor, one is supposed to have a sponsor. Maybe Beatrice has the Bible and the church. My sponsor was the church where I go to, and my counselors. If I have urges, I just talk about them, hello, and they will understand.
Yeah.
They'll help me.
Thanks for sharing that. And finally, to you, Daktari, before we get the feedback, what is expected of a person during treatment, of a patient during treatment? And we're talking about the risk of actually relapsing during treatment. So, you know, the responsibility of the family, the support system, as well as the patient themselves as they're going, as they're undergoing treatment.
Yeah, we'll need the family support. We find if an individual does not have family support, the prognosis is poor. It's more difficult to manage them. So we need family support. They need to comply to the protocols. Right now, we admit patients who are addicts. Because of detox, you need to detox them, because managing them out there is difficult because the temptation is there. So we detox them, give them medication, and then they need to be disciplined to continue with a holistic program. Again, we recommend holistic program. That's not just medication, counseling, but also spiritual. Like he said, Almighty God's role is very, very important. Right. Yeah. And then follow-up is very important. You don't just walk out of a rehab center and just, you know, you need to come back for follow-up, attend Alcoholic Anonymous support groups, and
Yeah.
Just follow up.
Okay.
And the family also needs support. They get depressed, they're harassed, they're really low. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Mm.
Let's take your feedback on our topic. And these are the tweets we're getting in tonight. And somebody here is saying that for one struggling to quit drinking, that he or she will need to reduce the number of bottles he or she takes a day by day until finally, when at one bottle quitting becomes easy. Prince Apprentice, you're saying addiction starts from influence from those negative friends multiplied by idleness. I am a drugs recovery victim. It is totally a bad state or situation. Pathetic indeed. You're saying I've never tasted alcohol, but I have to live with the consequence all my life because of a person who was close to me. He was a functional alcoholic. I will never support alcoholism, not even a drop. Stay sober, stay safe. James mentioned that he used to take 4 to 6 beers in a sitting. In certain social circles nowadays, he would be deemed a lightweight. Interestingly, it's a very thin line between a social drinker and an alcoholic. Thank you for your feedback. James, and to you, Beatrice. I'll start with you, Beatrice, very quickly. As we wind up, labda kwa mawazo yako, kama unaweza kuongelesha mwanamke ama mwanaume mwenye amepitia changamoto zenye umepitia kwa maisha yako, mwenye labda yuko mahali hajielewi, anatumia labda bangi ama pombe, kusikia yuko sawa, wewe sasa unasema uko katika hali nzuri, unaweza mwambiaje?
Naweza mwambia kitu ya kwanza ajipende na apende Mungu, sababu ni yeye ako na uwezo wa kila kitu. Ya pili, asijidharau, ati achukue kamba ajinyonge. Hapana, kuna siku ingine Mungu anakuja, amsaidie vile niliokolewa, hata yeye ataokolewa kama mimi. Na kitu ya kwanza niambie Mungu asante sababu amenitoa mbali. Kitu ingine niambie Mwangi wa Iria ako mbele sana sababu ameniokolea. President na yeye ningetaka kumuomba tu asaidie watu. Kuna watu wengi sana wako na huko nje wako na shida, hawana pesa ya kwenda rehab, lakini mimi nilisaidiwa through yeye na Mwangi wa Iria. Wapange tu vile watasaidia watu sababu watu ni wengi na huko nje na wako na shida. Hiyo tu.
Asante sana Beatrice. And to you, James, if you could give some advice to that struggling alcoholic.
Thank you, Lillian. First of all, I would like to quote a saying that we have in recovery that says, I alone cannot make it, but only I can. That means one requires to reach out to people who have the capacity, the skills to do that. That could be now what Dr. is doing, what you are doing. Also, to other recovering alcoholics like me. Whether you're going to reach them through Facebook, like my handle is James Njoroge in Facebook, whether you are going to reach them anywhere else, or even the nearest rehab. It is very important, but most importantly, beyond that, one needs to understand God. Go to that pastor who is near you. In the church, you will never be chased away. You will be given food, you'll be given whatever it is. That's the dogma of the church. You will find help. When you reach out using God as your goal, you will get help. And eventually, I would like to also thank the team in Moranga, my MCA, because they also supported me when I came out of there. When I go back home, I'm able now to meet people who understand an alcoholic. Before then, we used to have a challenge because people say, you have been in America, you have been where, you have money, but now they're able to understand me. So thank you very much also my governor, Mwangi wa Iria, and the senator. All of you are doing a very wonderful job and will continue doing what we have started.
All right, I thank you for that.
Yes.
And indeed, we thank you for your comments on our topic of discussion tonight. Dr. A lot of people are asking where they can get you. Dr. is based at the Oasis Health Center.
Health Specialist Hospital.
Okay.
And the Oasis Healthcare Group of Hospitals.
All right.
Yes.
So that's where you can reach her. This is Dr. Margaret Makanyengo. She's a psychiatrist, and tonight she's guided us through addiction therapy. We thank you very much for your time. We're also very glad to have had the stories of recovering alcoholics and recovering substance abuse persons. And this is, of course, with us tonight, James Muturi. Thank you very much for sharing your story. And, of course, Beatrice Wanjiro, thank you very much for sharing your story. We've been talking about functional alcoholism, which eventually could lead to substance abuse or, in fact, alcoholism. I trust you've been inspired by the stories of hope, faith, and strength as our guests in studio continue with their ongoing commitment to recovery. We thank you for your feedback. Let's keep the conversation going in subsequent bulletins. My name is Lillian Muli. Good night.